Thank you everyone for joining us today at the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy applicant information session. Thank you for your time. We're going to spend some time today just going over the details of the Education Academy, the programs that we have launching as part of the Academy, but also the admissions process, and also we're going to answer a few of your questions. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions about the information you hear in this session or from the information you've already received, feel free to ask those questions in the Q&A tab that's there part of the session. And for those of you who have similar questions, go in there and vote with your thumbs up. And that'll let us know how popular some of these questions are, and we can respond to that in priority order, and we'll respond to those first before some of the other questions. If we don't get to all the questions today, we will kind of summarize them and summarize responses and then share that with you when we share this pack after the session. So if your question doesn't get answered, please don't worry. We'll get back to you straight away after this. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to flick across to the next slide. Thank you. So the BITS-Pilani and RMIT have come together to create this academy. It's an amazing opportunity where we're giving students the opportunity to study in 2 countries, study with 2 amazing institutions of their country. Students will get the opportunity to study the first 2 years with BITS-Pilani in India, and then they will transfer to Melbourne, Australia to complete the second half of your degree. The benefit of this partnership is that when you graduate your program at the end of the 4 years, you get a qualification from BITS-Pilani, but you also get a qualification from RMIT University. Globally recognized institutions, globally recognized programs, fully accredited. So this is an amazing opportunity that has been established with between BITS-Pilani and RMIT. Next slide, please. So just some details about the Academy and the partnership programs. So in the first half of the degree, you will live and study in a BITS campus in Pilani or in Hyderabad. All students, once they're in the program, they will be enrolled both as an RMIT student and a BITS-Pilani student from the first day of the program. So you will be a student of both universities, studying the program of both universities from day one. And as a continuation of that, from day one, you will have access to all of RMIT's resources, the library services and student services while you're studying in India. And then once you transfer to Melbourne at the end of your first 2 years, you will be able to actually visit those campuses and visit those services in person that you've accessed previously from India. We're also looking to fly the students in there who are part of this program, this partnership program. We're looking to bring you across to Melbourne in your first 2 years of study. So while you're still doing your studies with BITS-Pilani in India, we want to bring you over to Melbourne to run a 2-week introductory intensive about RMIT, about our programs, and about the engineering programs you're studying, but also as a welcome to Australia and to get to know Melbourne and to get to know life in Australia a bit more. The second half of your degree, so once you finish your first 2 years with BITS-Pilani on one of their campuses, the second half of your degree will be in Melbourne, in Australia, where you will transfer across and continue where you left off. So you're not repeating any of your studies, you will just pick up in year 3 and continue the remaining 2 years of your program. And as I mentioned before, once you graduate, once you complete your degree at the end of the 4 years, you get 2 qualifications. You will be able to attend 2 graduation ceremonies or 2 convocation ceremonies. And of course, because you've completed the qualification from RMIT in Australia, you will also be eligible for post-study work rights should you choose to remain in Australia and pursue job opportunities. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the slide here is just a quick summary of the programs that are being offered through the Higher Education Academy. We've got the Bachelor of Engineering Civil at BITS-Pilani, matching up to the Bachelor of Engineering Civil and Infrastructure Honours at RMIT. We have Electronics and Communication, partnered up with the Bachelor of Engineering Electronic and Computer Systems Engineering. We then have Electrical and Electronics, paired up with the Bachelor of Engineering Electrical Engineering, and finally Bachelor of Engineering Mechanical at BITS-Pilani, which is partnered up with the Bachelor of Engineering Mechanical Engineering Honours at RMIT. There's also additional partnership benefits that we've established, especially around PhD research. So if you are pursuing your research or if you intend to pursue your research, there are further opportunities to take advantage of this academy and the partnership that we're establishing. Okay, so we're going to go through some key questions. We have had this an information session before, and we understand that a lot of you are sending us questions through emails. So thank you for that. Keep those questions coming through. I know the team here are reviewing the questions that you're putting through, and we are sending through responses as they come in, as we finish answering them. So the application process for this academy, so you have to apply, you have to sit the BITS entry exam. So you have to complete the application process for entry into BITS-Pilani. You should apply for admission to the Higher Education Academy program by including one of those programs that we covered in the previous slide as your preference. Once you've indicated your preference as part of the BITS application process, you also then need to apply directly to RMIT University. So the link that you see on the slide there, rmit.servicenow.com/rmit-apply. If you use that link, it takes you to the RMIT admissions portal through which you can then submit the application for the 4 programs that are part of the academy. The application process will also ask you to submit your education qualifications, so your high school, your year 12 school, so your central board or your Indian school certificate exam. So if you've got a copy of that certificate, you can upload a copy of that into the system, and then you will have to submit evidence of meeting English language proficiency. And that is a slide up ahead, so I'll address English language and how you can meet those requiremits in a couple of slides. So the admission into the academy program, so the 4 partnership programs that we have, will be made on the basis of the marks in the BITS test. So the requirement still stands that similar to the other programs, it is still going to be based on the BITS score. And once we have your BITS scores ready after the tests have been sat and the marks are released, we will use that to issue the offers. If you want to have a look at the RMIT specific entry requirements, you can have a look at our BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy website. The link is there below on the slide. Click through when you get a chance and have a look at the programs that are on offer, the admissions process, but also the entry requirements. It's important here that all students, all applicants must meet the entry requirements for both BITS-Pilani, but also RMIT to qualify for entry. So there's two parts to this process. Next slide, please. A little bit about fees. So during your first 2 years in India, which is years 1 and 2, the amounts for your fees year 1 and year 2 are listed there. And because there's a summer term on offer after year 1, there's an additional cost, and the prices are on the screen there. For your years 3 and 4, which is the second part of your study, which is undertaken in Melbourne, you will be coming across as an international student. So years 3 and 4 in 2025 and 2026. And so the current rate is $43,200 Australian dollars, and that is the tuition fee. So something to call out here that as part of your study in Australia, you will also be needing to account for your overseas health insurance, which is a must for your student visa, but also your living costs, your accommodation costs, and so on. And there's a little comment at the bottom of the slide where the government advises around $25,000 to cover for accommodation, food, transport, entertainment, and so on as part of your life and as part of your study in Australia. The other thing I'd like to call out is that all BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy students are eligible for the RMIT Future Leadership Scholarship for the components delivered in Melbourne, Australia. So that is when you're applying and when you're transferring across to Melbourne, all students will be eligible for a scholarship, which amounts to about 20% of your tuition fee. And that amount is reduced from your tuition fee. So you will, if you are granted that scholarship, you will end up having to pay a lower tuition fee because of that scholarship. So it amounts to about 20% and it is removed from your annual tuition fee value. Next slide, please. So English language requirements, and we know that there have been a lot of questions around this. So all students will have to demonstrate that they meet the English language requirements before we can issue them an offer for the RMIT program at the start. And remember, you need to get admission, you need to meet the entry requirements for both the BITS-RMIT program and also the RMIT University program. So the English language proficiency can be demonstrated using one of these language proficiency tests. So IELTS, TOEFL or TOEFL, the Pearson test of English. So you can sit any one of those. I am aware that the IELTS testing center does offer computer-based testing that's online. So you're welcome to explore that, where the results are available a bit sooner. And TOEFL and Pearson test of English also provide similar options. So please do have a look on their websites and book yourselves in for a test as soon as possible, either a computer-based test or something in person, so that we can get your results as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is just a clarification because we've got a few questions on this as before. Some of the students, some of you may be interested in applying for this partnership program, and you may have done the International Baccalaureate qualification, which is another high school or year 12 qualification. And yes, we do accept this as a qualification. This does meet our entry requirements. So on this slide, you will see that there are some minimum requirements you need to achieve. You have an overall score. The overall diploma score of 25, we need a prerequisite of a mathematics course, which is listed there, and the score you need to achieve, and also the English language proficiency requirements. So the English subjects that you do as part of your International Baccalaureate, it's listed over there, and you can have a look at the scores. Now, just remember, you don't need to make any notes of this. We're going to share the slides with you after this, so you can take a copy there. You can also, again, refer to the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy website, where a lot of this information will also be published. So if you've missed the slide, don't fear, don't worry. The slides will be shared after this, and then you can also look at the website for this information. One of the important concerns, or one of the questions that we've asked from that students have asked, is what is the work placement, or what at RMIT we refer to as work integrated learning. So what are the projects, what are the placements, opportunities, paid or unpaid placement opportunities when you're studying with RMIT University? So RMIT implements work integrated learning, which is where you engage with industry partners or employers throughout your degree. And RMIT implements that across the program. So we have in our engineering program something called a capstone course, which involves an industry-related project that students will work on. Now, this is available in all the engineering programs, so it doesn't matter which engineering program you choose to study with us, you will be able to do these capstone courses. So these are projects that you will work on with an industry company. A lot of them will have industry mentors. So basically staff who are working with international companies based in Melbourne will supervise the project and give you advice and give you guidance on how to complete the project and help you with your studies, but also your future career opportunities. The other option is also that all the students, all programs in years 3 and 4 will have the option to enroll in a professional engineering experience course. Now, this is essentially an industry placement where you will complete about 12 weeks of placement with an industry partner. Now, this is optional, and depending upon the placement that is sourced or the placement that you sign up for, some of them are paid, some of them are unpaid. Now, we have to remember here that because you will be studying with us as an international student, you have to be mindful of the government rules around your working hours and your working hour restrictions as per your visa. As of July of this year, international students are allowed to work 48 hours a fortnight. So across 2 weeks, you can work 48 hours, and that's what you have to abide by as terms of your visa, as visa conditions, and as part of your journey here as an international student. So you have to keep that in mind when seeking some of these industry placements. The other thing I just add to this is at the completion of your degree, all students coming through this partnership will be eligible to apply for post-study working rights. So where the government, based on the qualification that you've completed, and so if you submit an application to the government for the right visa, you'll be granted work rights to stay here for a few more years in Melbourne and gather the industry and work experience that you're seeking, and have multiple career opportunities after that. It's a choice. It's up to every student to decide if that's something that they want to pursue. Next slide. Okay, that finishes all the information that I needed to share, but I'm happy to kind of go through the questions that have been published, and we can go through the questions. Remember, as I said at the start, please go in and vote for your questions that you're most interested in, and we'll try and work through. I will call in some of my colleagues to start helping with some of these questions if I don't have the answer ready with me. So if you just bear with me a minute, I'm going to start reading the questions. So we've got a first question with the most number of votes is, what is the cutoff for BITS-RMIT for the following program? At this stage, we haven't established a cutoff just as yet, and I'm going to nudge my colleague Emma to join in if I've got any of the information correct. At this stage, there is no cutoff that's been established, but we'll be working with the BITS Pilani admissions team to determine what the cutoff is.
Thanks, Abhi, and I'm not sure whether Professor Singh would like to make any further comment on the BITS-RMIT cutoff score.
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you're live, Professor Singh.
Okay. Yeah, so cutoff, BITS-RMIT cutoff score is actually, it is going to depends on how many number of applications we are going to get, and also the preferences given by the applicants. So as you know that it is a very dynamic process. It might be possible that electronics and computer engineering are students. It might be possible that everybody is going to give, say, preference of electronics and computer engineering, and the BITS-RMIT score may be very high. Or if suppose all students are going to give their first preference as civil engineering, so again the cutoff of civil engineering is going to be high. So as you know that this particular partnership we are going to do first time, so at this moment of time we will not be able to tell you the cutoff, but I think when we will be doing our first iteration, probably about around July 5th, then actually more details will come out. Only one thing I can tell you that we have got a very good response from all those who have written BITS-RMIT, and a good number of students have shown interest in this particular program. So let us hope for the best, but at this moment of time, we will not be able to tell you the cutoff.
Thank you, Professor Singh.
Moving on to the next popular question. If I didn't get a seat in BITS Pilani, can I join BITS-RMIT or BITS or based on the BITS-RMIT? So I assume that means if I didn't get admission through this, can I still join the partnership program? So to be part of the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy program, you will need to meet the BITS requirements, but also the RMIT requirements, and you will receive an offer, a joint offer. So you will receive an offer from BITS Pilani, but also an offer from RMIT together. If you don't meet the entry requirements because your score was not high enough or your English language then unfortunately you won't have access to the benefits of the Higher Education Academy and the partnership. If you are interested in applying to BITS Pilani, the other programs that BITS Pilani offers or the other programs that RMIT offers, then you have to follow those individual processes to see if you meet the entry requirements and the cutoff scores for that. So you have to select the preferences, and then you have to apply to both institutions through the information we've provided to you on these slides. There's another question here about documents to upload, and my colleague has just responded there. So essentially, as part of your RMIT application, there are two sets of documents that we need. One is your educational background, your educational qualification, which is basically your high school results. So whichever high school, whichever certificate that you've got, whether it's state board or ISC or central board, if you have a copy of the official results documentation, you can give us submit a scanned copy, which has been certified, and you can just upload a copy as part of your application. The second document that we need is an evidence of your English proficiency. So this is usually the result of your English proficiency test. So on the slide that we covered that you can do IELTS or TOEFL or Pearson's test. So the result that you get, we need a copy of that. It needs to be certified if it's a paper copy that you then scanned. Otherwise, we need enough information from you to check and verify the results ourselves online, which is also an option. But at minimum, we need your educational, so your high school, year 12 education certificate and your English language certificate. Moving on, there's a question on how many students are to be accepted for this program, and Emma has responded. There's 35 places for each of the 4 programs for this first 2023 intake. Application forms must be filled before the BITSAT list is announced. Yes, to be eligible for a place, you have to submit the application forms. This has to be done before, as soon as possible, before applications close. This is so that we can then consider your application with everyone else who's applied for the non-academy programs as well, so that we can then determine that cutoff list that Professor Singh was referring to. So yes, you have to apply and apply as soon as possible. There's a question on the fee structure. So we just put up a slide on the fees. Hopefully that's enough, but there's also a link provided in that against that question, which will take you to give you more details about the fees. There's a question from Aryan. Is there a loan program available for the academy like the regular 4-year degree from BITS? What are the placements like from BITS? Professor Singh, can I defer to you about the loan program?
Yes. So yeah, the loan provisions are available. We have tied up with different banks, especially State Bank of India and ICICI Bank. More details can be sent to us, and we will be very happy to connect with the ICICI Bank. And provisions are there. And in fact, this international education loan, I think ICICI Bank is quite responsive, and they are helping the students.
And just the second part of the question, which is the placements like from BITS-RMIT. So just as I covered a couple of slides earlier, so the engineering programs that you complete in years 3 and 4, they allow you to do project courses and also seek, and you can do an optional placement with the company where you're undertaking engineering related work. So these services are available. The project-based courses, which are essential for completion of the program, are both available to years 3 and 4 students as they come through the academy and once they're studying in Melbourne. Another question about the BITSAT cutoff, and as Professor Singh shared, we've got a lot of interest for this program, and so we still have to determine the cutoff, and it'll be based on the demand that we get and also the number of applicants that we get. Applications are closing soon, so if you're interested, please don't wait for your BITSAT results. Submit your application as quickly as possible. There's a question around when do we require to submit the IELTS results. My colleague Natalie has responded. However, as a quick summary, it does take a couple of weeks at least to get your English language results back, which you can then share with us. We need to finalize our applications and offers by the end of July, so 31st of July. So we need your English language results before then. So it's essential that you register for your English language test, complete the test as quickly as possible, and then it will take about 2 weeks for the results to come through. So please don't wait until you've submitted your application as such. If you are interested in this program, if you wish to be considered for this academy partnership, please go sit your English language proficiency test so that we can consider your application as quickly as possible. Another question is registered on the RMIT website and they insist on English proficiency test. The score is valid for 2 years only. Why should we go through the test now? Why would I do the test until admission's confirmed? So the test is valid for 2 years, so it will assist in your transfer process when you are moving across to Melbourne. The second part is that you need to do the test before you get admission into the program, because as part of the RMIT entry requirements, we are required to ensure that you meet the high school entry requirements, but also English proficiency requirements. Because if, as I mentioned on the first couple of slides, you are an RMIT student from day one of the program. You start doing RMIT subjects or courses from the first semester of your study. So it is important that you are registered and you're admitted as an RMIT student from as soon as you start the program. And to do that, we need to be able to verify your English proficiency. So which is why we, just another reminder, if you are considering coming to our program, please register for your English language proficiency test, because that does take about 2 weeks for the results to come through. Another question about fee structure. So again, I'll just refer you back to the slide that we shared, and it will be distributed after this as well, but you can also visit the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy website, which will list out the fees. We're just putting the slide up so you can see that year 1 and year 2 with BITS Pilani in India on their various campuses is listed there. So 7.5 lakhs for year 1, a little over 7,87,000 rupees for year 2, but there's also the summer term after year 1, which is an additional 1.3 lakh rupees. Once you come to Australia, once you're ready to make that transfer to year 3 in Melbourne, it is approximately 43,000 Australian dollars per year. And these fees will not increase by more than 7.5%. And that's just basically government restrictions on that. But you also have to remember to be able to cover overseas health insurance and also your living costs, which can be around 25,000 Australian dollars. Professor Singh, just over to you as well on the fees.
Yeah, so as far as BITS Pilani fee structure is concerned, the first 2 years complete fee is also available in BITS-RMIT brochure, which is available at bitsadmissions.com, where actually applicants have applied for BITSAT. So all details, semester-wise breakup is given there, including hostel fees, then mess advances, and all details are there. So they can get the complete idea that how much per semester actually they are going to spend in BITS Pilani, any of the campuses, whether it is Pilani or Hyderabad.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Just going back through the questions.
So Abby, one of the questions that I have here that have just come through is regarding accreditation by Engineers Australia for the RMIT engineering programs. So if you could perhaps provide some advice in regard to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you complete the RMIT part of the program, so your years 3 and 4, and you have the RMIT Bachelor of Engineering program as a testament, as that you've completed that program. All RMIT programs are accredited with Engineers Australia. Engineers Australia is the peak registration body in Australia that governs all engineering programs, both bachelor and master's level. And because our programs are fully accredited by them, and this partnership is also recognized by them, it means that when you complete your studies, you will be completing a Engineers Australia accredited qualification. Engineers Australia separately is also recognized by the Washington Accord, which governs engineering qualifications across the world, which means that your RMIT degree is recognized across the world. And Professor Singh, if you could share about the BITS engineering degrees as well, they are recognized across the world as well.
Yes, so BITS degree, as we has mentioned that so you will be at the end of graduation, you will be getting 2 degrees, one BE Civil or BE Civil and Infrastructure, respectively by BITS Pilani and RMIT University. So ultimately, both the degrees, even BITS Pilani degree is also recognized degree, which is, as all of us know, that BITS Pilani is institution of eminence, and all the degrees which is launched or established by BITS Pilani is recognized by University Grant Commission as an institution of eminence. So there should not be any doubt whether BITS Pilani or RMIT University degree is accredited or not. So both the degrees, and it is up to the students to use which degree actually they want to use. So, they can use either BITS Pilani degree or they can use RMIT University depending upon their need and their applications.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Professor Singh, just another question that I'm going to share with you is, am I allowed to sit for placements from both Australia and India, or will I have to sit from Australia? I believe this is placements from that occur with BITS Pilani. So would you be able to share some information on that?
Yeah. So in the final years, definitely those, because as Avi has mentioned that day one, you are the students of RMIT University as well as BITS Pilani University. So all these facilities, including the placements, you will be eligible to participate in placement interviews of BITS Pilani. So as our regular students are going to participate in placements in Indian campuses, respective Indian campuses, in the same way, if you wish to participate in those placement things, definitely you can participate.
Thank you, Professor Singh. And of course, as an RMIT University student, you will get access to all the employment services, placement services, and opportunities that are provided to RMIT students. So you'll be doing years 3 and 4 with us. So whatever services all our RMIT students get, you will have access to that. There's another question here, which I've just scrolled across, and it's about what happens if I want to transfer between programs, or if I change my mind and I want to transfer into the program at a later stage, or transfer into another BITS program, or if I'm unable to travel to Melbourne because of financial reasons. So Professor Singh, if you could share information on the transfer process.
So transfer process, so as far as after completion of second year, definitely students are going to be transferred to RMIT University in a normal, which is basically a normal course of action, and their all required course eligibility and everything will be directly shared to the RMIT University. This is one part. Second part is it should be very clear to the students that there are different mode of admissions at BITS Pilani, and in the similar way different modes of admission at RMIT University. So if any students is admitted through a particular mode of admission, that admission simply cannot be changed to another mode of admission. So say for example, if a student is getting admission through BITS-RMIT at any of the campuses in BITS Pilani through normal route, not through BITS-RMIT Academy route, they cannot simply shift it to RMIT, BITS-RMIT Academy higher education students or vice versa. So in fact, suppose 2 years students from BITS-RMIT program, a student is admitted, and after 2 years they are going to say that no, I am now not interested to go to RMIT. Then BITS Pilani is going to admit, they are not going to shift them to directly to a normal program of BITS Pilani. However, as everybody knows nowadays that we have a policy of academic bank credit, and we can give the credits of those 2 years programs that these courses at BITS Pilani has been done, and it is up to the students that whether they want to take somewhere else or it is up to them. So that is why it is my suggestion would be that from day one it should be clear to all of us that if we are taking admission with this mode, because it is a very special kind of degree where students are going to get two different leading universities degree, so there should, in their mind, it should not be like that tomorrow I will be completely shifting to BITS Pilani. It should not be like that. Okay, so 2 years they must spend in BITS Pilani, and next 2 years they must spend in RMIT University, so that they can get complete exposure. Sometimes it also might be possible that, because I would like to highlight here so that I have found some of the questions of that suppose, so there are in BITS Pilani, any students who is having BITS-RMIT score can apply for both the modes, or admission in BITS Pilani all Indian campuses as well as in BITS-RMIT Academy. The merit list, offer letters, all those things will go parallel in both the rounds separately. And suppose some students is getting admission is both the routes, both the modes, then it is up to the student to select which mode actually they would like to join. So they will be given enough time, but of course the closure of the admission date is basically on the day of reporting, which is nothing but 7th of August. So before that, actually they must have a call, must have to take a call whether they have to join BITS Pilani through normal route or BITS-RMIT Academy programs. So that has to be very clear too. So this is my side.
Thank you, Professor Singh. Hopefully that addresses the questions around transferring. There are a few more questions about the admissions process and English language. So maybe I'll just do a quick summary of that process. So the first part of it obviously is to sit the BITS-RMIT exam, which I know most of you would have already done. And the second part is to complete the application form from BITS Pilani, which will ask you to indicate your preferences. And you must indicate the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy preference as part of your application to BITS Pilani. Every student who then indicates that the Higher Education Academy is a preference for them will be invited to apply directly to RMIT University, where you complete an application form with us. As part of that application form, we will ask some of your personal details, so name, date of birth, and so on, your contact details. But we'll also ask you to provide evidence of your education, so your high school, your Year 12 certificates, and evidence of English. Now you can start your application and you can submit your application to RMIT without having those results at hand, because we understand sometimes you don't have the documentation or you may not have sat your English test as yet. So It is okay to submit the application form even though you don't have those results. We will send you a reminder that you need to provide those documents to us. Now, the next step is, if you haven't already, you need to schedule, book in, and sit for an English language test through one of those testing providers. And they're available all over India. You can Google them online and they will take you through the link. They're fairly straightforward to book into. You can also do some of the computer-based ones for ease of access. Once you do that test, it takes about 2 weeks for the results to be released, and you then have to share those results with us at RMIT. Now, the RMIT application process allows you to go back in and add more information at any point. So just because you have submitted it doesn't mean you can't add more information. You just wait for your English tests to come back, wait to get the your year 12 or high school certificate, and then just upload copies to your application. Now, the deadline for this, the full application, so to say that you're interested in our program and that you want to be part of the BITS-RMIT Academy, you need to apply as soon as possible. So a number of you have indicated a preference through the BITS Pilani application, but you then need to follow through and submit an application through RMIT. The last date for you to give us your English language results and your high school results will be July 31st, so that we can then process your offer if you've met the requirements, and then you can start your studies with the Higher Academy as quickly as possible. Now, the English requirement is for RMIT University only. It's only to be part of the Higher Education Academy, and you need to submit that directly to RMIT University. So please remember that there are 2 application steps. One is through BITS Pilani, and then you have to follow that up with an application to RMIT University. The documents you need to provide are your year 12 or high school certificate, and then your English language proficiency test. Just going through a few more of the questions. Okay, there's a few more questions around the cutoff. And again, as Professor Singh shared, the cutoff cannot be determined so early because we're still in the application phase. Once applications have closed, the cutoffs will then be identified as we see the demand for each of the programs through BITS Pilani, but also through the Higher Education Academy. And remember, you have to meet the BITS Pilani entry requirements and also the RMIT University entry requirements for the academy, which means that we will apply the same cutoff. So BITS Pilani will tell us what their cutoff is, and we will use that cutoff to then determine if you meet the entry requirements for RMIT or not. So there is a 2-step process. There's some comments about English tests now, whether it'll be valid to travel to Melbourne. What I would suggest is please don't worry about your travel to Melbourne now. There's 2 years for the travel to occur, and there's a lot of information that we will share between now and then. And remember, there's also the student trip that we're planning at the end of the first year, where we're going to bring you to Melbourne. So there's a lot of time between now and then. If you are interested in the academy and you're interested in this wonderful opportunity, don't worry about the 2 years down the line. Get your application in, get your English results in, so that you can kickstart this wonderful opportunity, and you can begin your studies with BITS Pilani and RMIT. There were some questions in there about some students who've done an English test in the last couple of years. If you've already done an English test, you can submit that to us, and we will have a look to see if the test results are still valid. All English test results will come with a validity date. It's usually 2 years or 3 years in some cases. And if you've done one already, submit it to us. We will have a look. If it's still valid, you don't need to sit the results again, test again. If it is not valid or the scores are not high enough, we will let you know, and we will suggest and recommend that you sit another test so that we get the best results and a more recent result from you. And please be sure, we're not changing the validity date. The validity date is fixed from the time you gave the test. So we will apply the 2 years or the 3 years depending upon the test. What else? Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm just going through. So there are a couple of questions around if you get that, you know, that students are going to get 2 degrees, one from BITS-Pilani and one from RMIT. How is that possible? Because you're only doing 2 years in each institution. This is the benefit of the Higher Education Academy. This is the benefit of the partnership. RMIT and BITS-Pilani have been working on this for a long time now, and we have ensured that the courses that you do in the BITS-Pilani degree and the RMIT degree are of the same level and give you that same level of education. So it means that your studies completed with BITS-Pilani can carry through into RMIT and vice versa. So it's not a, you're not getting an incomplete degree. You're actually getting the benefit of doing 2 degrees at the same time with 2 world-leading institutions. So you get the BITS-Pilani degree and the RMIT degree. So please rest assured, these are fully accredited. They're fully recognized. Just because you're doing 2 years with BITS-Pilani and 2 years in RMIT does not mean your degree is any less than any other engineering degree. These are one of the best partnerships and best qualifications you can get. And this opportunity is to give you a degree from both institutions. Professor Singh?
Yeah. So as you have rightly mentioned that if nowadays even our University Grant Commission, they have formulated a policy where this particular program is called in there. So there are different kind of programs like training program, like dual degree programs and all. So anybody can go to the University Grant Commission website and they can see that now universities of higher education can design these type of dual degree programs where 2 degrees, say if programs can be offered at the same level and if the respective universities admissions requirements are fulfilled, then both the universities can award the degree. So now it is a good practice. Government of India has taken initiatives in this particular side. And as you have mentioned that, so the course requirement, if you see or any particular program, there are certain credit or units requirements of a particular program with number of courses required. So as long as the students are going to fulfill the courses which is required for say for example for civil engineering or electronics and computer engineering, so it doesn't matter whether you are a student is going to do in BITS-Pilani or they are going to do in RMIT University. So we have done a complete exercise and last means at least 1 year actually we have done complete course mapping, and based on that actually we have designed these programs where any so all eligibility requirements of the degree program of BITS-Pilani is going to be fulfilled for this program. At the same time, RMIT University eligibility requirements are also going to be fulfilled. So there is no question that only if you are going to get 2 years, as we said in very beginning that from day one you are going to be the students of both the universities.
Hey, there's some more questions about the application process. So yes, well, you need to indicate your preference via the BITS-Pilani application form, and then you need to submit a second application form directly to RMIT if you're interested in applying for the academy program. So there are 2 steps, there are 2 application forms that you will need to fill in. There's some questions in there about using the RMIT application system, about it saying it's under assessment or what, whether you're an international student or not. So my colleagues are responding to that. Just remember that everyone who's indicated their interest in the academy programs through the BITS-Pilani application form would have been sent an email last evening, which outlined the application steps, but also gave you some tools and some tips on how to complete the application form and some user guides. So just refer to that email if you can, but then we will also follow up after this with some more information that will help you complete the application process. So if there are any steps in the form that you don't understand or you're not sure of, just refer to the user guide that we attached, but then we will also recirculate after this. So please don't worry about that. We will send you the information. There's a question about continuing masters in Australia after the bachelor's program. Absolutely. Every student who completes their bachelor degree through this academy will be eligible to apply for a master's program. And it could be masters in engineering, it could be masters in other disciplines. As an international student, you will have to apply again to indicate which program you would like to study, and you will have to complete the process as an international student. You will need to apply and receive a visa extension. Your student visa has to get extended as well, and so on. So that is a separate process that you'll have to go through as an international student, but your bachelor degree makes you eligible for a number of our master's programs as well. There's a couple of questions around what will happen if I don't get the visa. So Professor Singh, I'll just throw that to you. So if you could just share again, I know we've addressed a little bit of the question if students can't travel to Melbourne. So if you're unable to get your visa, then obviously we have to make allowances for that. So Professor Singh, if you could just share what would happen to students who join the academy but then can't travel due to visa issues.
Yeah, so if somebody is not going to get visa because of some reasons or other, so we will be trying to accommodate them in our BITS Pilani campuses depending upon their BITS-RMIT score, because we will be comparing the merit list of the BITS Pilani and normal route and the BITS-RMIT route, and then we will be seeing in which program actually they are fitting, and then based on that actually we will be trying to fit them.
So I hope that addresses that issue. So obviously we, the BITS Pilani admissions team with Professor Singh will look at the scores that you've got and then find what would be most suited to your score and to your studies. Again, as I said, at this stage, the main kind of milestones or the main deadlines are to get your application in and to complete your English language proficiency test. There will always be provisions made for students who are unable to get their visa and so on. But you know, it's important you get your application in, because if you miss the application deadlines, then unfortunately we can't consider you for this first intake. You won't be part of the first intake of the BITS-RMIT Higher Education Academy. So it's important you start the application process and get your results in at this stage so that we can definitely then consider you and then guide you through that process. Okay, we have time for one more question, and then I will pass this on to Professor Singh to wrap us up with some final comments. Just the last question is, for those of you who already submitted their application or have started, are in the process, and you see that the application status hasn't changed, we will be contacting all applicants from the 5th of July, seeking more information or clarifying English results and so on. So if you haven't heard from us and your application looks like it hasn't progressed, please don't worry. This is just part of our standard processing and assessment time frame. From the 5th of July onwards, you'll start hearing from us and you'll see changes in the application. And with that, I will pass this on to Professor Singh. And thank you everybody for your time.
Thank you, Avi. So yeah, so thank you very much for attending this particular final seminar, which is actually based on the queries which actually we have received in the past as well as today. Now, as it is mentioned that we have prepared a complete FAQ list, and we will be posting it, and maybe you can be able to see it from Monday onwards. And in case you have any further clarification, you can always contact admission office of BITS Pilani, or you can mail to bits@2023@pilani.bits-pilani.ac.in, and we will be very happy to respond to you people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.